Hi, this is Deborah Christofferson. I play Sue Blevins on 911. You're listening to Fandom Family Chats.
Welcome back to Fandom Family Chats. I'm Amanda.
I'm Eve.
I'm Tiffany.
And tonight we are talking 911 Lone Star. I really enjoyed this episode. There wasn't like too much information in it, but we also got a lot of information at the same time, I guess.
You got a lot of crazy.
We got a lot of crazy this episode, which I loved. I really actually enjoyed this episode once I was able to finally finish it. And luckily we got the conclusion to Carlos disappearing, and it didn't drag on for 18 episodes like the snow did.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
Yeah, I was scared that he wasn't going to get rescued and we would have to wait another like 90 episodes until he got saved. And I was like, I'm not doing this every week.
Yeah. Anybody really confused with the old lady at the first? I was like, wait.
I was confused by the whole thing. I was like, I don't understand. Well, at first, I thought I had it figured out, like when it was just the lady.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, we have just, a crazy old lady. Strange man snuck into her home. She freaked out. But then the son came into the picture, and I was like, oh, but he's in on it too. But he wasn't just in on it. It was his idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, he's the mastermind or something. I was like, never mind. They've lost me. I don't know what's happening.
Poor Carlos seemed very confused as well when he woke up. What is going on? Why am I in
cookies?
a 1950s kitchen with grandma?
And she was feeding him cookies. I'm like, this is not normal.
I'm like, I wouldn't eat those.
And while she's doing it, she's like casually like tucking an arm into the pantry. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Body rolls out. Oh, that's not normal.
I'm very bothered by that because was there any like conclusion to the random dead body in the house?
I mean, we got like there was like they were bringing out a body bag. That's what I assumed was
yeah, it was one of the first homeless girls that went missing.
Yeah, that's right.
Found her.
Sadly.
And I love how she's just like, oh, sorry about that. Like, it's a normal Tuesday. Don't mind the body there.
Cleaning out my closet and the dead body fell out, just a regular Tuesday.
I mean, the arm like just like flops out and she's like with her foot like pushing it. And I'm like,
she's just like, uh-oh, you weren't supposed to see that. I'm like, I don't think anyone is supposed to see that.
I mean, I don't think you're supposed to see that either. But this Daryl, that's his name, Daryl, he reminded me of like an 80s, 90s serial killer.
Yes.
With like his mannerisms and looks and like, I don't even know. I mean, it was crazy of like even the way he like carried himself and everything. I'm like, you're a good actor when it comes to this part, which is kind of freaky, but also kudos to the actor.
Daryl is not very nice to his mother. I mean, Trudy was a little bit, woo, but I mean, her son was pretty mean to her.
He was
very mean to her.
I felt a little bad. I actually felt a little bad for her. I mean, not too bad because she kept knocking Carlos out with like entire vials full of morphine.
Yeah.
But I mean, I felt a tiny bit bad for her.
She did try to let him go.
Yeah, like once she opened up to him with Daryl's accident when he was younger and like kind of why he is the way he is. I think that was brilliant by Carlos because I feel like that's probably training. I mean, he leveled with her. I'm trying to think of a certain word. Not leveled with her, but like spoke to her about something that she was familiar with. He related to her. There you go. It came around. He related to her in that level, and I think that's what made her feel a lot more comfortable and ended up letting him free for a second.
Literally a second.
God, I thought that was it.
So Crazy Pants came home.
Well, I thought this was his moment. He was going to get away. And then, like, I looked and saw that we were, just about halfway through. And I was like, nope, I don't think this is it.
Yeah. I did the same thing. I was like,
Once he started like yelling and screaming, I thought for sure that female cop was going to hear him. And she didn't.
I was so mad. I paused the TV and walked away and did something else because I got so frustrated with that cop. I mean, one, you could clear as day hear somebody yelling, like screaming, and then all of a sudden music starts blaring out of the house to cover it. Like,
I was wondering that too. It's like, maybe to a typical person like me who's not a cop, it wouldn't like ring off many alarms. But if you're a cop and you randomly hear that kind of music blaring through a house, I mean, that's not
okay.
That was like elevator music she was blaring. She didn't stop.
Especially knowing the street's full of cops.
The street, okay, that was my thing, is it's not like she was like randomly there. She was there to look for somebody being held captive. Like she was there for this reason, and yet she's like, no, I didn't hear this insane screaming, and then all of a sudden some strange music blaring coming from the little old lady's house.
Like, nope, that's
alarming.
Not weird. Checks out. I'll just, go on my merry way. Like,
I got so frustrated by this because I'm like, I don't even know how she's gonna have a job. How?
I was actually mad at TK a little bit too, because Carlos knocked that shovel over, and the crazy lady Trudy was acting so weird at that point. Between hearing a noise in the background and her saying it's the cat, really? Your cat knocked the shovel over?
I honestly thought like TK was gonna go like to Carlos's dad and be like, this lady was kind of off. There was something weird. Like, can you go by? Like something like that. I feel like naturally as just a human being, that's what I would do. I mean, like like if you really notice a feeling and be like, hey, why don't you go check that house out too? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought for sure he was going to mention it to somebody.
I honestly, I did. I really did.
That's why I thought he was at Carlos's parents' house, was to tell him about Wacky Trudy, but
yeah.
Nope.
I guess not.
No, we're just gonna let that one go. Apparently, TK was on a rampage this week, determined to find this man.
I really love their relationship.
I do too. And obviously I was getting a little bit worried about him, but I think this sadly brought him closer.
I really hope we get the wedding this season after everything they've been through already.
Yeah. Maybe the season finale.
They need a wedding. We need a wedding. Everybody needs a wedding. Just let it happen.
We all need weddings.
Like, there's so many other characters on the show. Why do they keep picking on Carlos and TK? I don't understand.
I was going to say this at some point during this podcast, and I think I'm just going to say it now. Do we have any other actors in this show this season? Aren't like Marjan? We're like, I think we're finally going to get some of her next week. But like, that's what started making me think about it. I was like, where is everybody else this entire season?
I got to the end of this episode. I was like, wait a minute. Aside from like these two, and then, Owen, we didn't really see. I mean, we saw a little bit of, the 126 people like at the very beginning.
Yeah, we saw like Grace for like 1 second.
Yeah.
But like, other than that, like, this is all we got. It's like, I like TK and Carlos, but I like the other people too.
Yeah, like I want to know, is Tommy dating the preacher man?
Right? Yeah, I need more Tommy and the preacher man.
I need updates. And I feel like I'm missing a lot of the other storylines this entire season, to be honest. It's not like just these couple episodes, it's the entire season. I feel like we've gotten it's been so TK, Carlos, and Owen heavy. And it's just like all the other ones are kind of like we get an update every other episode of a tiny bit of one of them. Or like I didn't just fall in love with TK, Carlos, and Owen. Like I love the entire cast, and I want to see more of them.
Yeah, like I get their fan favorites, and that's great. I'm glad we are getting screen time of them.
Yeah.
However, there are tons of other characters on the show that we also want storylines from.
I'm trying to think of his name right now. I can't. My gosh, it's been so long. I can't even think of his name. The one who's Mateo.
Paul? Mateo?
Is it Mateo?
And Nancy.
Mateo and Nancy. Like,
yeah.
Like, other than like a strange look they gave each other, like, what's going on there? We know they're together, but we don't see it ever.
And they do weird quips back and forth every once in a while, but that's it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I'm going to jump off my soapbox now, but I did want to complain a little bit because I love all the characters and I want to see more of them. I think next week, hopefully now that like the TK, like the Carlos story's kind of finished up with the Iris thing and everything, and hopefully, and the Owen thing I think is kind of settled up. Maybe we'll start seeing more of the other characters. I mean, it looks like we already do next week. I don't know. Hopefully.
I do like how TK went to Carlos's parents though for help, especially his dad, because
Yeah,
his dad's great at what he does.
I did too. And I was a little bit worried, like, if they were going to be like, well, where is he, TK? Like, what, you guys were fighting and now he's like gone. Like, I don't know why I thought that, but it made me nervous for a second.
I thought that too, that they would be all over TK about giving him a hard time about the whole Iris situation. But
yeah, I did too. But I mean, it was like no question. They jumped in to help. I should have known better than that, but
and they wanted to feed him too. I was like, okay, no hard feelings here. We're good.
I know. I love that. And I mean,
he basically solved this himself though, because like he's the one that found the partially burned IDs in the fireplace. He's the one that connected the dots to all of the girls that went missing, went to the same pharmacy. I'm like,
yeah.
Are the detectives actually working on this, or is it all TK?
I'm convinced that Carlos is the only cop that knows how to do his job in all of Austin, because everyone else was utterly useless.
I don't know what anybody else was doing. Standing around listening to people scream in houses and just walking away, I guess.
Yeah. Aside from Grace. TK and Grace are the only useful ones.
Yeah, apparently.
She was able to track where his last location was. Grace is like a godsend. What would they do without Grace?
Exactly. TK was as he was a freaking rock star in this entire episode. I think he was about to have a nervous breakdown. I don't know how much more the man could have taken during this day, but he finally figures out the connection with all the missing girls, like you were saying, and tracks them down to the pharmacy. And then they track down the pharmacist because guess who it is?
Creepy Daryl.
It's our creepy Daryl.
I thought for sure they could just walk around the corner and he just left, guys. He literally just left.
Yeah, he's
walk outside. You'll see
bicycle.
If you run real fast, you might be able to catch him.
He's not in a car. He's on a bike. He's pedaling. And he's
How did no
50.
one in that pharmacy see him stealing those bottles of?
I don't know. There has to be it's a pharmacy, so there are cameras everywhere. It's not that easy.
It's not like he was stealing small amounts of stuff over a long period of time either. He was stealing large batches all at once. How is that going unnoticed?
A red flag. Come on.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's stuff they take inventory on.
Yeah. I'm sure if this was real life, then this man would have gotten caught a long time ago.
Unless he's the one who does inventory. I don't know.
Ah,
Maybe
Good
that's
point.
maybe that's what's going on.
I love how TK and them just busted the door in.
Bow.
He's like Superman coming through the door. I got you, baby.
I got you. I got you.
Did anyone else like jump when Carlos like finally woke up? He was like, "Don't touch me." I'm like, okay.
He did. He was. It was like an incredible performance. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
it was really because I didn't expect him to do it, and then he did it, and it seemed so realistic. Of like, that's a true reaction. I feel like, other than like usually when somebody wakes up like that on the show, they like seem groggy and out of it. When in all reality, that man's still fighting for his life. well, he's just rose from the dead.
But at least it was Carlos rising from the dead this time instead of TK. I think TK's had his fair share of near-death experiences.
How many
This
comas
is
has
true.
the child been in?
3, 5, 600? I don't know.
They all start to blur together after a while.
Oh man, they should if the writers were really wanting to like mess with us, they should have put Carlos in a coma at least for an episode.
Or like 5 minutes. I don't know. Just something, just to level the playing field.
Exactly. We either need a coma or some like amnesia or something to make this a full on.
It can be how they bond as a couple. They, go into comas.
I like that. Except I don't. I would hate that. I feel like comas are like more common in TV shows than they are in real life. Or am I just being naive?
No, I feel like they happen all the time in TV, and in reality, I highly doubt people get comas slip into comas that easily in real life.
Like who in their life has been in 3 comas?
If you're listening and you've ever been in a coma, tell us what it's
Or
like.
3.
Or 3.
3?
Are you okay?
Like that has to. It just seems like terrifying. Can you imagine like waking up like months or years later? Being like, that was a good sleep, man. And everybody around you's like 50 years older.
Creepy. Oh god. That would scare the crap out of me.
Somebody please keep moisturizing me. I need to stay looking young.
I love the just the connection that TK and Carlos have.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew he was gonna come and just rush in and save Carlos.
Oh
'Cause
no.
that's what he does.
I know. I
That's
loved
what
it.
they do for each other. They save each other. It's perfect.
I do.
However, on the other side of the saving this week, we have Owen, and Owen needs to be saved himself from
Oh my
undercover
gosh.
work because he is so bad at it.
I feel like
He needs fired.
I need to be saved from the storyline because it sucks. And I don't know if it's just the storyline as a whole or if it's just Owen being so bad at being undercover that's making it bad.
It's the entire storyline. I don't feel like I complain too much on that. I complain a lot during The Resident. I don't really complain that much during 911. I'm going to complain about the storyline because it has been. This should have been 1, maybe 2 episodes. Here's our thing again. Like they did this with the snow things. They stretched it on too long. And guess what? We're still not done. We're still not done. It's still going to be going next week. So, I mean, in a way, hopefully, I'm hoping next week's a little bit more of a normal episode, but let's talk about Owen.
Oh, God.
Because first of all, we have to talk about the underwear.
What did she call them? Like,
I don't remember.
I don't know.
She calls them
It was like some really funny name, and I was like, we have to remember that for the podcast. Now I don't remember.
double.
So we can see how great that worked out.
I do that all the time. Usually when I'm stuck on my soapbox is when the things I'm thinking about while I'm watching the episode, I'm like, oh, you just wait till I get on this podcast. I'm gonna let it all come out.
It's
But
like
that's
Owen was in the like biker club and he was finally spilling the beans. It's me.
it's
I'm the rat.
me.
And it's in my shorts. What? He looks he got
Brian was like, stop
uh
Brian was like, stop talking to your shirt.
He's so bad. I did. As much as I loved this, I also hated it because he just can't be he has no idea Carlos is missing. He has no idea TK's going through all this. He's ignoring everything TK's like calling him and messaging him. It kind of peeved me off because I'm like, okay, if my child, grown or not, has called me so many times in a row, you'd answer, right? I mean, you would think so. You would answer because that's obviously, I mean, his voicemail was full as how many times TK had tried to call him. And it seemed so far off base because Owen and TK are so close that it just felt so off base. Maybe, I mean, I guess Owen didn't want to talk to him because he probably would have spilled the beans, just like he did in the middle of the bar and told everybody that he had a wire in his underwear.
At this point, I have to believe that the only reason he's so bad at this is because he's pretending to be this bad so he can get out of having to do this whole thing. But sadly, I don't think that's the case.
you want to
No.
think that, but you
Well, he
can't.
wants out of it, but I think he also really is that bad at being undercover. And
He's
To
just
be
that
fair,
bad.
why is the FBI relying on some stranger off the street to go undercover into what they consider a dangerous biker gang?
And
Yeah.
they've already had enough mishaps with Owen at this point. Like, why have they not given up and been like, no, you're a huge security risk. Get away from us.
Like they know guns and chemicals and drugs are involved, there's missing people, but you're just going with a random stranger that's had zero training. Okay, good plan. Good plan.
No, it was
Solid.
so dumb. So dumb. I feel like that's why this storyline sucks, in my opinion, to be honest. Is just because it is so, I get TV shows not being realistic, and that's fine with me. But taking a show that's based on real life stuff and making one storyline seem so unrealistic is bothersome to me. And maybe that's me and my little brain, but it bothers me.
It doesn't seem to fit. Like, I don't understand what the writers were thinking. Like, why did they feel it was necessary to do this storyline? Like, if you really want Owen to have a storyline, like, give him something better. This just feels stupid. Like, it's like they ran out of ideas and they were like, well, this is the best one out of all the we have, so let's just do this. Like,
I do think he made a friend out of it, though. I think him and O'Brien are becoming friends. They kind of, when they took off at the very end with their little motorcycles at the same time, I was like, oh,
rode
that's
off
cute.
into the sunset, but that's another thing.
I'm so back and forth on him.
I know, same.
I'm so confused. So I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute. So do we like O'Brien now? Because I did.
No, I don't. I still don't trust him.
And I'm not going to like him again until we are, 100% certain that he's a good guy, because I have no clue what's going on there.
Tricking me.
No, I mean, I keep going back and forth on it. And so I made a decision, I think, last week just to write it out and just be wary of him the entire time. Did anybody think it may be his nephew, the one that's building these bombs?
I 100% think that that's who's building the bombs.
Who too? we could be totally wrong, but that's where my mind keeps going. It was going there last week too. Like when you saw him, like found the picture of him standing in front of where everything was. But like when TK showed up to that meeting, he's like, and O'Brien's like, I didn't think you'd show up. And he's like, you shouldn't have. I was like, that's like a little threatening. So like that rubbed me the wrong way when that happened. And just, I don't know. O'Brien could be like completely innocent in this.
But he also couldn't be.
Exactly.
So I'm just very confused. Like I'm just
I am
believing
too.
the bad guy for now because they keep like they keep like dangling this in our faces, and I'm just sick of it.
Yep. And I don't even know if next week we're gonna get a conclusion to this either. I mean, we see things on fire and blowing up. I don't know if that is the bomber doing anything yet. I don't we couldn't tell from the preview, at least I couldn't. I'm not entirely sure where we're going with this. And like is he's just after Owen, right? Not like the whole 126. Like his prime target, I think, is Owen.
Well, his prime target is Owen, but then also where does Owen spend a lot of his time at 126? So
Because he had the 126 on his little map thing.
Okay.
hasn't
Like
that
but all
also
the
been-
pictures were like just of Owen though. That's why it was like kind of confusing to me. I was like, is it
the
the whole
126 has already had fire set to it by a serial arsonist, so can we leave the 126 alone, please? Like
better?
just go blow up something else.
Blow up an abandoned building where nobody can get hurt. Thank you.
Because that's what bombers enjoy doing, is just bombing random buildings where nobody gets hurt.
Hey, we can all hope for the best, right? How about this? We just don't blow things up. Crazy people. Well, it looks like Marjan is finally going to get a little bit of a story time next week.
I don't like it though.
Yeah, it's not going to be a fun one. I know
mean,
I was just saying I wish we see them more, but come on. Something happy.
it feels like it's coming. Maybe it's going to make more sense next week when we get into the episode. But given as Marjan doesn't seem to have been struggling up until this point, it feels like it's coming out of left field.
And maybe she's leaving the show. I mean,
Oh, I
I would hate that, but we were just saying we hardly ever see her anymore. That usually happens when an actor's about to go off. Like when they're trying to leave, it's sometimes like maybe she's doing something else and she's splitting her time between. And
Yeah, but it's like most of the side characters, not just her.
I know,
Can't get rid of them.
can't get
We
rid of
want
all
more
of them.
of them.
We need a lot more. And I'm hoping she doesn't leave. Like I love Marjan. I don't want her to leave at all. But that's the only thing I can like kind of think.
When
If
was the
it
last time we even had a major storyline from her? Was it the first season?
I'm trying to think.
yeah,
Right?
I don't know, first or second season
I
was
don't
the last
know
time.
I don't know if she's had a major storyline, at least not for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, not since like the one about her like engagement.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
been a
no, she
while.
really hasn't. So I don't know. Hopefully she's not resigning. But in the previews, she said she is resigning. I'm hoping since they said that in the preview that they're just trying to mislead us. And that's what I'm going to think about until next week.
Going with.
Usually. I'm still waiting for like the explosions that are supposed to be happening because we've been seeing these previews since before episode 1 aired
Yeah.
about like explosions, and we have yet to see any explosions.
Mm-mm.
Just saying. Like explosions. Oh, wait, I'm one of the crazy people. Amanda was telling me to stop blowing stuff up. My bad. My bad.
Stop being crazy, Tiffany.
I like to watch it.
I don't like to partake.
She just wants to enjoy it. She doesn't want to actually do it.
Exactly.
All right.
It doesn't make me guilty, right? Okay. That is all we have for tonight. But don't forget to check out our socials and our Facebook, 911 Family Fan Club. And tune in next week for more episodes. Sunday is, of course, our Fox night, 911 and The Resident when it's on. Tuesday is NBC, all three Chicago shows. And pretty soon, Wednesdays, the ABC nights will be back because, what is it, February 23rd, Grey's Anatomy and Station 19 come back.
Yay!
So you guys will get more recaps and reviews of that soon. It's been fun. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Loving our content? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to share our podcast with your family and friends. We want to continue the conversation with you. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok under Fandom Family Chats, or one of our ever-growing Facebook groups by searching Family Fan Club. We've also launched a website, Family Fan Club 2021 at wixsite.com. You can email us there and keep checking it for announcements and merch coming soon. And of course, be sure to tune in every week for new episodes discussing all your favorite shows.